Hello my beautiful people, Wazobia. It's your boy Richard from X Concept, and today we're going to be talking about how to balance a gimbal. You know, it's very important for you to balance your gimbal before you turn it on, else it's going to be putting a lot of stress on your gimbal motors. So let's jump right into it. And to do this, we're going to be using this bad boy, the Zhiyun Crane 2S. I've been using this gimbal for the past 6 years. I started using this gimbal in 2021. It was my first gimbal and it's been doing really fine ever since. So if you have your Zhiyun Crane 2S, let's jump into the video. And if you have another kind of gimbal, I think the concept is the same. So let's jump right into the video. This is how it looks like when you open it at first. So what you want to do is to get your camera. I'm using the Nikon D610. My Canon R7 is the one I'm using to record this video. So this is the Nikon D610. One good thing I like about this camera and this gimbal is the fact that it has a very big payload. It can balance both small cameras and high-end cameras like the Sony FX30, Sony FX3, even the Blackmagic, it can balance it. So that's the reason why I opted for this, just in case of any kind of camera setup I have or any kind of lens setup I have. So this is the first thing you're going to get. This is a camera riser. It's called a camera riser. It's usually used when you want to attach long lenses to your camera, or I usually like using it every time because it adds this kind of aesthetics to the whole setup. So the next thing you're going to add to your setup is the base plate. This is the base plate. Okay, so one very important thing to note is you need to put your base plate at a central position. Then another thing is you need to put in place where your lens holder is going to stand. So system, you need to put it here. So when you're attaching your base plate, you need to put that into consideration. Normally you don't need a lens holder for a 50mm and those other small prime lenses, but for the sake of this tutorial I'll be adding a lens support. For the sake of this tutorial and for the sake of aesthetics, sometimes I just add this lens support. Okay, so the next thing is the quick release plate. This is your quick release plate. So what you're going to do is to match this arrow with this arrow on the base plate, this particular arrow on the base plate, and this arrow on the quick release plate. Now you're going to press this and let it slide in. So I'm going to be doing away with this box. Now you have to take this tripod. This is a tripod that comes with the Zhiyun Crane 2S. You take this tripod and you screw it under your Crane 2S. Okay, so what you want to do is you slide your quick release plate into this part of the gimbal. One good thing about the Zhiyun Crane 2S is it has this locking mechanism for locking each axis so that you can balance each axis. So you're going to open all the locking mechanisms like this, so that your gimbal can stay like this. Then you lock back all the locking mechanisms. You lock them back, you know. So let's get down to the first part of the gimbal we need to balance, which is this part here. So you have to open this. You have to open this up. One important thing you need to know is your gimbal needs to stay upright at all times. It needs to stay the way it is meant to be before turning on the gimbal. So for every axis, you need to balance it in such a way that it won't be moving, right? So for now, what we need to do is move this forward or backward in order to make it straight. So is to make sure your gimbal is standing straight. Then you lock this part of the gimbal. You lock it in place, right? Then the next thing to do is to turn your gimbal upward. Open this and balance it so it doesn't fall. You see, it's tilting to the back. Once it's tilted to the back, you do the opposite. You push it to the front. Once it's tilted to the front, you push it to the back. So that is how you balance. Micro movements. You can see the gimbal is balanced on this axis, so I have to lock this, right? If you actually did the right thing, you will notice anywhere you turn your gimbal to in this axis, it is meant to stay. It's not meant to move, okay? You can see it's not moving. So that is how you know that that particular axis is well balanced, okay? So now we'll lock this part. We'll lock this. Then we jump to this part. Open this up, unlock this axis, then you unlock this, then you start adjusting so it doesn't fall to this side or fall to the other side. So this is what you do. You adjust anywhere it's falling to, that means you are going to adjust it to the opposite side. So still you have a balanced gimbal. So for you to also confirm that this place is balanced, you need to tilt it, it doesn't move, tilt it, it doesn't move, the other side, tilt it, it doesn't move, tilt it, doesn't move. Yeah, so that means your gimbal is well balanced on that axis. So the last axis we're going to be looking at is, let's lock this axis. So the last axis we're going to be looking at is this particular axis here. So you want to put it in such a way that when you tilt it, it's not moving around. So you want it in a position where anywhere you put it, the gimbal stays. You can see that it's moving right now, so I need to adjust it. So you keep adjusting till you have a balanced point. Okay, I think I have a balanced point here. Okay, so guys, you can see this axis is well balanced. Anywhere you turn your gimbal to is meant to stay, it's not meant to move. That is how you know that particular axis is balanced. If any axis is moving, it shows that the gimbal is not well balanced. So you have to do all of this before turning on your gimbal. So now let's unlock all our axes. You can see this axis is unlocked. You can see this axis is unlocked. So you can see it's not falling to the left, to the right, forward or backward. So if I turn my gimbal this way, it's meant to stand like that. If I turn it this way, it's meant to stand like that. It's not meant to be moving up and down. So when you balance your gimbal this way, before turning on the gimbal, it shows that you are not putting any load on the gimbal. So this is it. So an extra step I like doing when I turn on my gimbal. So let's turn on our gimbal. Let's turn on our gimbal. When you turn it on, it is supposed to be at the right position. This is it. So this shows your gimbal is well balanced. So an extra step I like taking after balancing my gimbal is to go into the menu, go to motor, go to auto, and let the gimbal calibrate the weight. Okay, now you see our gimbal is well balanced. That is how you balance your gimbal. Even if you are not using the Crane 2S, even if you are using probably DJI or every other product, this is how you balance your gimbal. It's the same process. You have to balance each axis, each motor, so before turning on the gimbal. So this is that about that. Thank you for watching. You can like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.